Greetings, everyone. This is Payman Lawrence, your host of the Leaders Without podcast. Today, I have once again an incredible, wonderful guest for you, my good friend, Anick. She's in Australia, but she's originally from Quebec, a province that is dear to my heart. And again, as another francophone, it's always a pleasure talking to someone that speaks French. French is my native language, so nowadays I don't get much opportunities to speak it. But each time I connect with a French-speaking person, especially one with from Quebec, I love the Quebecois accent and the style. So for me, we had an awesome chat just before going, and also last time when we spoke. Yeah, Anick is amazing. She's an adventurer with an capital, gigantic, majestic A, because her life has been can be summarized with adventure and all the good sense. She left Montreal back in 1998, and she went for a holiday to Sydney, Australia. She fell in love and she stayed there, and the rest is history. And she was doing well for herself in Montreal. She built a big company around spiritual community, spiritual dancing and all that, which was awesome. She was able to surround herself with like-minded spiritual communities that are all about dancing and connecting. And then when she went to Australia, she did good as well. Now Anick is an intuitive mentor, voice healer, expressive art therapist, and NLP practitioner. Wow, that's amazing. I love NLP. Was created her own unique offerings, voice tapping. She's also a TEDx speaker. Wow, incredible. An international best-selling author. She had her own part of the book project called Visionary. The future belongs to those who can see in the dark. So there's a lot that we can cover about Anick. We're going to try to do our best to unpack all of these amazing layers of the cake, of the onion, whatever you want to call it, throughout this call. So and I love her motto. Her motto is "Be you and live your calling." So this I can really relate with that as well because that's one of my mottos as well. So Anick, my good friend, bonjour and welcome.
Bonjour, bonjour. Hello, hello, everybody. Thank you, Payman, for this warm welcoming and, beautiful introduction. It's just always interesting to be in the passenger seat and to hear that, having feedback on our bio. It's very touching. And yeah, it's a pleasure to be here this morning with you.
Very
Thank you
welcome.
for having me.
Pleasure
Mhm.
is all mine. For you, it's morning. I can see you're ready. I'm so jealous. You're ready to go to the sun and the summer for you here. It's -20 right now in Toronto. It's evening. So
Yeah, now here it's like 30 something degrees. It's super hot and humid and
please send
sticky.
me send us some warmth here. I'm begging you. Please send some to us. Awesome.
Oh, Sent,
All right.
done.
All right. So as I told you last time we spoke, what I like, the kind of conversation I like to have on my podcast is to look under the hood to see what's in your heart, to have a heart-to-heart conversation, to get to know the person, to get to know Anick as a person first and foremost. Sure, we're going to talk about your wonderful achievements, your adventures, your businesses, the impact you're doing, but first and foremost about getting to know you as a human being. Are you ready?
I'm here. I'm
All
ready.
right. Okay. So for people who don't know you, tell us, as a person, who's Anik
Oh, wow. Okay.
as a
That's
human
a broad
being?
question. Yeah, as a human being. Well, I guess if I invite you into my intimate world, as you beautifully said before in the introduction, like I certainly there's a side of me that's very adventurous and I love exploring, and I'm a real lover of life itself. I haven't always been that way. I didn't want to be on Earth for a long time, but once I opened up to my true essence, I'm a very passionate French Canadian woman with some Native American Indian blood on my father line. And obviously, French, Canada has been colonized by French. And um, I've always done things differently. Like I've never really fitted at school. I never felt that I really belong. So I've created a life that, I've always been like seeking my gang. Like I've always been a community person. I've always been the one who gathered the family together. I've always loved music, like coming from Quebec. Like we're very, very big on art.
Yes.
And we're very musical in my family. I've got an exquisite voice. I love singing, and I grew up playing the keyboard, piano in churches, and organ and all that. And so music has always been a really big part of my self-expression, of expressing my emotions and my heart, and gathering people together through dance, through music, because there's no argument when we communicate through dancing and through playing music. We are coming on the same kind of it's a common language to every culture. So that's always been a very important part of my life, gathering community, being together, expressing our heart. So I'm a big fan of kirtan, which is devotional chanting. That's a way for me to meditate, to connect with the divine, to connect with my true essence, and to come back into the present moment. So that's a big part of my life. Nature is a really big part of my shamanism, my connection to spirit, my connection to my lineage in Native American Indian Algonquin. So I love nature. I love being in the bush. I love being by a lake, a river. I love water. I swim every day. That was my dream to come and live in a warm tropical country. So I'm live in Australia, just next to the ocean. And there's not a day I don't swim. I mean, pretty much, unless it's like super cold and stormy. But I make it a ritual for me to, in my life, to swim and cleanse every day. I feel like the water is a real refresher, cleanse your mind, cleanse your body. It's energizing. I believe that my environment is very important to me, like what's around me, what surrounds me, it inspires me or it doesn't inspire me. So nature, community, like-minded people, my spiritual practice through chanting. I had a dance business for many, many years, but then I discovered that my voice my voice is conveyed through our voice. So women in general, I feel like that's been suppressed, and it's been suppressed in my own family. I had a mother was very, very controlling and very suppressive, like dimming our lights rather than amplifying our lights and allowing ourselves to express our truth. So that became important to me, because it has been taken away from me as a little girl. So I went on a quest to really reclaim my voice, to reclaim my power, and becoming self-aware of what truly matters to me, to my physical body, to my heart of hearts, to my spirit, and like what are my true values. And it's a gift, it's a blessing in disguise, because in the end it really put me on a quest of the meaning of my existence. What am I doing here on planet Earth? And so I'm very passionate to empower others in finding their voice, tapping into their heart's intelligence, and being really true to themselves, because nothing outside of you, nothing outside of us can take away who we truly are, who we truly are, our essence, what truly matters to our own heart. The government, no one, our family stories, nothing external to us, to you, be taken away.
Yeah. Now
You
I
are
understand.
always free. So
Mm.
freedom for me is super high in my value. You can imagine that. I'm a free spirit to
Oh
the bone.
yes. Same
Uh,
here.
I'm a total free spirit. My time is my currency. My energy is my highest currency.
Love
And
that.
so yeah. So how can we create a life that is meaningful and where we can be free? And so yeah, so that's me as a human being. Full. Yeah, I mean there's a lot I can. Yes, I suppose love is very important. My friends, I've just entered a new relationship recently, which feels very aligned, which feels I've been wanting, like it ticks a lot of boxes, but I feel like it's the universe that brought me the next piece of my evolution, because I truly believe that it's in interaction, in relationship, that we heal. We heal in relationship. We don't heal in isolation. We don't heal by ourselves behind a screen day in, day out. We heal when we're in contact with other humans, because we see ourselves. We see who
I
we are
agree.
in relationships. And that's how we can give our love or hold back our love. You know, we give and receive in exchange with other human beings. So I've always been really big in and very good in connecting peoples, connecting the dots, connecting with people. It's been a really, really big part of my success in life,
Okay.
knowing how to build good, harmonious, loving, caring relationships.
Okay,
Yeah.
awesome. We're gonna dive into all of that. Well, quite a lot of things we can dive into. Yeah, absolutely amazing. Wow, that's amazing. So you mentioned quite a lot of things that we can deep into. You mentioned adventures. That made me curious. What's your sign? What's your zodiac sign?
Ah, okay. My zodiac sign. Well, I'm a water sign, as you can imagine. I mentioned how much of a water lover, how much of a mermaid I am. I'm a Scorpio. I was born on November 8th,
Oh,
the
okay.
number of infinity, of abundance, of yeah. On November 8th. So I'm Scorpio, and my ascendant is Cancer. There's a
Wow.
lot of water, a lot of sensitivity and intuition in my chart. Yeah, yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. So that's why you're so adventurous. You're a fierce lover of freedom. I can see that. We're quite similar because I'm a Libra, and we Libra, for us, adventure and freedom is absolutely non-negotiable. That's not, as no price. Absolutely for us as well. And I can see that you not only got the tan in Australia, but you also got quite a lot of the Australian accent, which is quite charming. So that's awesome. That's awesome. All right, now let's move on. I'm going to ask you now a series of rapid fire questions to further get to know
Okay.
you as a person. Rapid fire, so short answers. Let's continue. So now, tell us, Anik, what makes you happy as a person?
What makes me happy, Payman, is to see others around me joyful,
Mm,
to uh, I love laughing. I'm a big fan of laughing.
me
Laughing
too.
at, like, I feel like how we're taking life way too seriously.
Yes.
We're taking everything too dramatically. And what makes me happy is to see a group of friends together, dancing, singing, laughing. I have to say, in my teenage and younger days, I was a bit of a party girl. I still love a good party, but a conscious party, like a
Yes.
party with purpose, a party with meanings, a celebration of life. Like, I love celebrating life just for the sake of celebrating life, you know? So any good occasions, if there's a birthday, I'm very big in organizing. I'm known in my community of organizing the best birthday parties.
Oh
So
wow.
uh,
Okay.
you know, I love gathering community and you know, around a good picnic, around good food. That makes me really happy
Mm,
to see people succeeding, to see people having what they want in their heart, to see people on their path really doing what they're passionate about. That brings a lot of happiness in my heart, you know, to
awesome.
live in a happy world. I mean, that's my vision, to see every single human feeling safe, feeling that fully expressed. It's my big vision, really, for
Love
this
that.
planet.
Love that. One thing that you said that is really powerful is that we take life too seriously. We need to laugh more. I was listening to a show on TV a while ago. It was a doctor that said, you know, if every doctor in the world were to prescribe 1 hour of daily mandatory laughing and smiling to people within 30 days, 95 to 90 to 95% of all the ailments, all the sicknesses would be gone, because when you're laughing, that eliminates the environment within you to be stressed. And 95% of all diseases and all ailments are caused to stress. And I couldn't agree more with that. Even for me, I love watching comedy, especially, I'm sure you know the French, comedy, especially Louis de Funès. I love that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know, and also I still, believe it or not, you might laugh, I still watch cartoons, because cartoons for me, it's like I never want to lose the kid in me, and I always love to laugh. So yeah, if more people were doing that, we would be much more happier, healthier, and it would be much better, nicer world to live in. So keep laughing.
I agree, 100%.
That's
I'm
awesome.
also a fan of Walt Disney movies, for
Mhm.
kids. Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
yeah, absolutely. Now tell us, what makes you come alive? What makes your heart sing?
Um, what makes me come alive is I'm actually really passionate about teaching. Like I really love I channel pure consciousness,
Wow.
and I love transmitting. I really love sharing wisdom. I really love being in my sovereignty, in my divinity, and allowing my true self to share, to give of myself, to give yeah, the teaching, not from an ego perspective, but from a heartfelt perspective, from a soulful perspective. I love sharing possibilities, and
Wow.
it makes me feel really good to see people getting it, to see people just like kind of like have this little tick that's like, oh my gosh, like I love giving a conference, a talk, and when people say, gosh, they come at the end and they say, Anick, you really you changed my life, or something really, like I just needed that little piece. It's going to really inspire me to move forward in my life. I love that. Makes me come really alive to see that I can influence, that Anick as my soul can actually is here to impact, to have an impact on people's life, to better people's life. That really makes me feel alive,
Wow.
and juices me up, and yeah, sparkle my
Awesome.
day. Mm.
Love that. Love that. Now, let's take a look at the other side of the spectrum. Tell us, what makes you sad and angry?
Oh, okay. God, I don't really like to go there, but yeah, there's a few things in the world right now that are making me quite pissed off, to say the least. I suppose it's to see people being disempowered through control, through, I mean, the big thing that's going on, the pandemic in the world right now,
Yeah.
like the way it's handled with taking people freedom away, taking people self-expression and movement. I think self-expression and movement in a human being, and connection, three things that are actually essential to thrive in life, that are essential for your health, your mental health, your physical health, your emotional health, connections with others, as I mentioned before, like relationships, being in contact with other humans, connections, self-expression, so your freedom and your freedom of movement and self-expression. So these things, if they're taken away from a human, it's the worst thing that can happen. It's total disempowerment, it's total disconnection to truth. to divine truth, to your power, to your essence. So as you can tell, I mean, I'm getting quite fiery about it. So that makes me angry. That makes me that breaks my heart into pieces.
Yes.
And to poison, toxicity in the world, like the pollution and the pollution that we put in our body and in our, in the oxygen and in the how we bombarded with the marketing to actually brainwash people and diminish,
Yeah.
because we've got everything inside of us. We've got everything you need is already encoded in your soul print, in your blueprint, in your cells. Everything is there for you to self heal yourself. Everything. That I know to be a divine truth. That's non-negotiable. You've got everything within you to transmute any limitations. Okay, any traumas, any fears, any limiting beliefs, any vices and bad habits. You've got everything you need inside of you to transcend that. So the brainwashing that's happening currently in the world right now, it makes me puke, and it makes me feeling rageful and sad and sometimes helpless as a human being, because it's just I mean, it's non-acceptable to me. So if I think
Totally agree with you. Totally agree with you. And I love seeing your passion and the way you were getting all feisty and all. I love that because that's exactly how I feel as well. So we're on the same page. Absolutely. Now tell us what scares you?
oh dear, yeah, there's a few things. I'm human after all. Yeah. um
Spiders, snakes.
no, no, I'm not scared of I mean, I suppose if I go diving and I come face to face with a shark, or in a Canadian forest with a grizzly bear, I
Yeah.
might freak out a bit. But again, love always wins over fear. But I do have,
Yes.
I mean, for me, the fears of having my my space invaded and my freedom taken away from me, like it's probably it's a big thing for me, like
Yes.
not being able to be, not being able to be, not being able to
Express yourself.
yeah,
Yeah.
and to feel like a big fear is like, I feel like there's still a lot that I want to bring out into the world. There's more to me.
Hmm.
And I feel like I've been playing, I've been taking some risk. I've been showing up. I've been, been on a TEDx stage. I've been doing conferences in front of hundreds and hundreds of people. I've
Wow.
written the multi-authored book, but I don't feel finished. Like, there's music in me. I want to do some launch my own music out in the world. I want to listen. There's more to me, and I feel like I'm not completed in this lifetime. So I guess, yeah, a fear of not fully express, having given the best of myself. I mean, someone like Oprah Winfrey, she's a really good inspiration to me. Like Louise Hay, who built a Hay House and started in her late 40s, early 50s, and she had a really challenging childhood, and she built an empire. I mean, I guess, yeah, a fear of not feeling that I've given all my love, and that I've given all of myself, um, without putting pressure on me, with compassion
Okay.
and with, the rhythm of the universe. But so that's a fear. The fear of abandonment has been a
Mm.
big thing for me. Fear of abandonment. It's been a big thing that I see. I've got coaches and healers. I do the work. I help others, but I'm uh, I'm a human being, so I work on my stuff constantly. You know, I work on the barriers or the yeah, the blocks that are energy blocks that are there. I work on that. You know, I receive the support that I need to be able to move forward to the next step, the next level of expansion.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess that's what I'm going to share for now. That's what came up. That's what
That's
came. That's what's
awesome.
coming. That's what's coming in this moment.
That's awesome. That's pretty good. Awesome. Now, last question for the sets of rapid fire question. What would you say is your number one superpower? Your number one personal superpower in a few words.
Hmm. Yeah, that's a really important question. It's an important question.
Mm-hmm.
I suppose I feel that there's a couple of things for me superpower, like something that I saw as a problem and for a long time is my hypersensitivity, my empath. Like I'm an empath, like I'm super sensitive, meaning that I walk into a room and I feel the energies. I see through people, like, you know, I read people, places, situation really quickly. So that's I used to see it as a problem, but now I see it as a superpower, you know, because it allows me to relate, to connect, to understand, and to make decisions accordingly. You know, it's so my hypersensitivity and also my intuition. I'm super psychic. Like I think it's quite connected. Sensitivity and intuition, they're very connected.
Yes.
um so yeah, the intuition, meaning like not the conditioning of the mind, but but the you know, the gut feelings, the level of consciousness where you know that 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 you know, not from a mind perspective, but from a felt, like yes, like a sixth sense, if you will. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome.
Does that
Wonderful.
make sense?
Oh,
Yeah.
modern sense. Very, yes,
More
very
than
thorough. Yes, yes. Thank you. Thank you.
more
Now,
than-
let me now take you on a trip. I know you love traveling.
yeah.
What was the very first trip you took?
Oh wow. Okay, here's what come to mind. But there's two things that came to mind. Okay, as a little kid, the first trip that my mom and dad, my parents, took us on with my younger sister, they took us to Florida, Miami Beach, from Montreal, Quebec,
Wow.
on
Mm-hmm.
a plane. Um, and so that was the first time that I discovered the ocean.
Wow.
Beach, the sandy beach with the ocean, the waves, the salty water.
The palm
And
trees, all that. Yes.
exactly. I must have been about something like 8 years old or something like that. And as you know, you're in Canada. We've got very rigorous winter, like it's super cold.
Mhm.
And my father was really sporty, loved the water as well. So yeah, they took us there, and I just literally fell in love with the ocean. And I thought to myself, and I shared that with my dad. I remember that I said one day he taught me how to, swim in the waves and all that kind of jazz. And I said to him, when I'll be a big girl, I'll be living on a beach. That's my dream from now on. And I made that decision from quite a young age. And so
What did he say?
yeah, he said, well, you do what you want to do. I mean,
Mhm.
my dad,
Yeah.
he said, well, so be it.
Go for
If
it. Yeah.
something if it calls you,
Awesome.
let's see.
Now, that's awesome. Now, let me take you on another type of trips. I want to take you down memory line to when you were precisely a young girl. You know, when we're young kids, people around us, family, friends, teachers always ask us, so Anick, what do you want to become when you grow up? What was your answer as a little girl when people asked you, what do you want to become when you grow up, Anick?
Oh my gosh, yeah. I have a little anecdote on that one. I mean,
Please, go ahead.
Payman, we actually know who we are as little kids. I mean,
Yes.
little kids, they're virgin, they're pure, they're untouched. Then we brainwash them, but they're fearless and they know what they love. They just go, they play games, they just, you know what I mean? They're free, and they don't hold back until we tell them, no, don't do this, no, don't go there, you know.
Mhm.
So my favorite game as a little girl, very interesting. I'll go down in the basement or in the garage, and I'll put either all my dolls on little seats in front of me, or the little kids on the street. I would gather. I was already a bit of a bossy one. I was a bit of a leader. I'd say.
Okay.
I was inviting all the little kiddies on the street in Laval, in Quebec, and I will dress up as my, wear my mom's clothes and makeup and all the things. I was about like 5 years old, like just a little tiny little thing,
Wow.
5, 6 years old. And I would teach them about self-confidence and self-love,
Wow.
and I would sing them a French song at the end. And I was already like an intuitive mentor, speaker. I was already a teacher.
Beautiful.
I was already connecting to what I love the most, which is singing and teaching. And I was already doing that. And then I kind of shut down and went into a lot of traumas and fears and all the things.
Mm.
But I already knew what I love doing, gathering community and sharing my heart with them.
Awesome. Love that. Love your story about you being a little girl dressing as your mom
Yeah,
and inspiring people around. That's
yeah.
amazing. Yes. Awesome. Now, let's stay to when you were a kid. Did you like school?
Did I like school? There's a lot I loved about school.
Mm.
Okay, this sound went a bit funny. There's a lot of things I loved about school. I mean, I loved my friends. I love hanging out with my little friends, playing with them. And I've always loved learning. I don't know if you like that, Payman, but
I
I've always
did.
been very curious. I've always had a very curious nature and very creative and inventive. Like I love to create new things and explore new things. So I've always been so school in some regards, you know, kind of matched things that I love, such as learning new things, curiosity, and being with other kids, making friends, and sharing with them and playing with them. So in some ways I did, and I had a few really good teachers. I've been blessed enough. Primary school, I've got fun memories of a couple in particular. They were extremely loving and very good at what they did. You could tell they really loved their job. So that makes a difference for a little child to feel that energy. And I was just the walking distance to the school. For quite a few years I was just down the road, so it was just a
Wow.
walking distance, so that was quite handy. And my mom was a primary school teacher for many, 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 many years. So I wouldn't say I hated it, or I mean, when I later on at high school, I had less passion for it, I suppose. But
Would you
yeah, I
say
would say that
what would
I think I liked school. Yeah.
awesome. Awesome. What would you say was your favorite subject in school?
Oh wow, what a good question. My favorite. You mean primary school or high school? Like
All
really?
in general. All.
Yeah. What comes to mind right now, I remember at high school, I really loved geography because I love traveling. I really
Me
love
too.
traveling.
Hmm.
So I loved geography, and I loved any like poetry, anything with French. I was really good in writing, very, very good with poetry and writing. And I was a journalist became a journalist for 7 years
Wow.
earlier in, yeah, in my first career. I wanted to work on radio, and that's what I did. So I manifested that, and I was very shy. I had a speech impediment, and I thought I would never score any job, and I managed to heal that, and to I was very determined. When I was clear, when I'm clear, there's nothing in my way. When I know what I want, I go for it. you know. Um, so yeah, like French writing, expression,
Mhm.
communication, poetry, geography for the traveling aspect. Yeah.
Yeah. And what would you say was one subject you did not like at all?
Oh, mathematic
Me too. It's
number.
very similar. I love
I
geography and
hated
writing and all.
numbers.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Sciences like physics, chemistry, and maths. I hated with a passion.
Yeah, same
Yeah.
here. Wow. So you're growing up in Quebec in a French-speaking, environment. At what point did you start really taking seriously learning English? Like, for example, for me, I grew up in France. Obviously, we all speak French in France. And yes, I took English, as a second language, but I never learned it until we moved to Toronto, Canada. And the first year, my parents put us in an English speaking school so we can actually immerse ourselves and learn English. And from the second year in high school, I remember we were back to the French system in Toronto. How about you? At what point did you really make an effort to learn English?
That's also a great question. I love your questions. Very
Thank
good.
you.
Um, yeah, it's beautiful. Um, Okay, well, my family were really like pro-Francophone. Like it
Mhm,
was not, I mean, they didn't push me to learn languages or anything like that.
mhm,
I had a curiosity, as I said before, like I loved cultures and traveling and languages. So
mhm.
I learned Spanish as well, that. But I suppose English for me, I learned it travel, like I started to go on little trips at 16 on my own.
Mm,
Um, and I learned it on the street. I mean, I learned it a little bit at school, but at school, let's face it, it's not where you really learn. I don't personally, I don't believe that's where you learn best. You learn best, I believe, in an immersion. So I went to Victoria, BC, and an exchange where they were offering like at 17 or quite young, 18, I don't know. And I
wow.
started like that, doing exchanges and traveling. I went to Europe for the first time. I was 18 with my boyfriend at the time, which was
Okay.
very brave. My first trip overseas, 18 or 19, with a backpack, super young.
Wow.
And I learned traveling. I went to London and I went to, like, so I learned because I love people, because I love communicating, because I love exchanging, and because my gift of being hypersensitive, super sensitive, is I absorb, I listen, I take in, I just I take in, I take in, I take in. And yeah, so I guess that's really how I learn. The best for me learning is in immersion, in
Exactly.
communicating with others, listening, and on the street,
See,
as you go.
exactly like you. I speak six languages. The only languages I learned in school were English and French. All the rest I learned immersing myself. For example, Spanish, even though I took Spanish in France as a second, no, sorry, third language, I never was able to speak it until I get here and I immerse myself into the Latin community, especially Latin dancing and all that. Same thing with Portuguese, Brazilian, because again, I love the football, the culture. Italian, same thing because of the football. So yeah, you have to have an actual, genuine desire that's way beyond school or work for you to learn a language. That's at least my experience. Now, let me ask you one more question about you being, especially your teenage years. So imagine if we were in the same class in grade 10 and grade 11, what kind of person were you at that age? What kind of friend would you have been back then? Would you have been the shy one, the very nerdy one, or already the chat box, the chatterbox, and always looking to bring people together, organize parties? So tell us, what kind of person were you? What kind of teenager were you when you were in high school? And if you were in the same class, what kind of friend would you have been then?
Well, funnily enough, I've always been more like a introvert, like very shy.
Oh,
And
wow.
I hated being shy. I hated
Mm,
being timid, and I suppose because I was very suppressed in my expression, so it made me
mm,
feeling very insecure. So it's not my true nature. I'm much
okay.
more of a, I've got leadership, you know. I'm more of a, yeah, I love to organize and stuff like that. But I was more shy because of the conditioning and the insecurities and the self-doubt, and you know, a bit more timid and sensitive, a bit more timid. Um, but yet, I mean, it's a bit paradoxical because there was a side of me for what I was passionate. I was a bit of a rocker, you know, I had a leather jacket and all that. And if there was like a protest, I was there. And so it's kind of like there was like the leader in me was already a little bit, the fire was burning inside, but the conditioning was making me, you know, kind of withdrawing. So it took a long time for me to heal, to be able to take my space in the world and to be able to you know, doubt less my voice, my true voice. I don't come across that way, I suppose, but yeah, there's underneath, there's um this little shy girl, you know,
How
a
did
bit
you
more,
how did you overcome your shyness?
because I hated it. I thought I would never do anything with my life in the world. I wanted to be a journalist, and I wanted to,
Oh
you
yeah.
know, be on the radio, and I wanted to, you know, I had this love for communication and self-expression and arts and music and all the things. And so I thought I would never do anything if I don't dare to show up, you know, to share. And it's, you know, it's selfish not to share. So, you know, we have
Sure.
beautiful gifts, we've got to share them. We've got to, they're there to be exposed and inspire others. It's for the highest good of all. It's not, otherwise it's, if we keep it for ourselves, what's the point? We're here to come and
Absolutely.
share and give, you know, of ourselves.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Wow.
So lots of healing, let's put it that way, lots of healing.
We all, yeah, we all been there. I was the same as well. Wow. Awesome. Now let's move forward. There's so many things we can ask because I mean there's so much we can cover, but let's try to maximize our time here. So now let's move forward from the moment you left college to now. Let's talk about your path. How would you describe your path? Would you say it was pretty much straightforward, smooth sailing? Once you get into one lane, one career, it was pretty much the same thing all the way, or was it like turns and twists, like a roller coaster?
I know it's definitely been a lot of twist, my friend.
Oh yeah, it's much more fun too, eh?
It payment, there's been a lot of twist and
Oh
shout and twist
yes.
and shout and twist and shout.
Oh
Come
yes. Oh
on,
yes. Oh
come
yes.
on.
Rock and roll. I know. Yeah, it's more
Yeah, no,
fun.
it hasn't been smooth sailing. Yeah,
Mm.
it's been a lot of bumpy and curvy and you know, being
Tell
on the
us, tell
ocean,
us a
like a
little
lot
bit
of
about the
storms
different.
and big.
Tell us a little bit about the different careers that you've been into so far, briefly.
Oh dear. Yeah, it's hard to be rude. Um, I mean, there's a common denominator in all of that, but yeah, I was at university. You know, I was in the committee where we had like a newspaper for the I was studying communications at university. I loved it. I actually loved my study. At the time I made a really good choice for myself. I really loved it. There was a component of writing and a component of communication. I loved it. I was part of the radio of the University of
Wow.
Sherbrooke. I was part of the newspaper, and I really loved. And the thing I love a bit like you with your podcast was to meet people and interview people, and go see all the free shows and the cinemas and the theater. So I ended up having a job in as a reporter on radio and in the magazines and stuff like that. And I've done so many things. I work in the music industry. I was doing the PR, like promoting bands and make sure they go on their interviews and organizing their CD launch and all that. So I was a bit of a mum there for them. I did that for a while in a big company, a distributor in Canada called Cargo Records. I did that for quite some time. I loved that job. I've always done jobs that I loved. I mean, that I
Amazing.
enjoyed, that they were, yeah, I mean, I never had like security as, people, I mean, the real things, like the traditional career, you grow one thing, but I've always done things that juiced me up or turn me on, interest me at the time, which was always around communication and being at service, being with people. I work as a teacher, French and English teacher at university in Alliance Française
Wow.
for over 10 years.
In Australia?
Yeah, I work in Australia and I got jobs just like that. And I was quite a natural at it. And I suppose that work helped me to know who I truly am. That's how I discovered that I was a healer, that I was, a teacher, not of languages, but a teacher of, wisdom. And I would help people to believe in themselves. They come out of my classroom, like in my classroom, we dance, we sing, we do fun things. And that's how you learn. You learn through play. You don't learn with seriousness. You learn when you play, when you're engaged. So I'm a big believer that, the best way to learn is through playing,
Yes.
experiencing. And
Totally.
so my class were epic, and my one-on-one were like, people would tell me these secrets, their relationship with their family, with their partners. And, I work with very wealthy teenagers. Their parents wanted them to speak French, and I would charge really good money. And I would, it turned out to be not a French tutoring, but it turned out to be like a counseling kind of session. They would tell me all these secrets. And I thought, well, I started to question myself and see, what am I really doing? Like, what's this gift that I've got? Like, what's going down,
Beautiful.
And
Wow.
yeah, so everything we do serves us, everything on
Totally.
our path has a purpose. It's there to
Absolutely.
serve you. You understand that. I mean, and your audience will understand that. Everyone here
Yes, yes.
watching, like, you can't have any regrets. It's not necessary,
Mm.
because every pieces of the puzzles, every experience you had in your life is there to serve you and make you who you are now.
Totally.
So
Absolutely.
yeah.
Totally agree with that.
Yeah.
Wow. Now you mentioned Australia. Tell us, how did you end up in Australia?
Oh my God.
That could be an entire episode by itself.
I mean, there's so much. I know there's a lot of content for sure. We between you and I, there's so much content, and your questions are so punchy and so
Thank you.
such
So
great
if you can
questions.
summarize it for us in a few sentences. So tell us what took. If I understand correctly, you went first for a trip, you loved it, and then you moved. So tell us more about the whole process. First of all, what made you leave your family, your friends in Montreal to go to the other side of the world in Australia the first time?
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's a calling. It was a calling. It was a strong desire. Um,
Were you fascinated
uh,
by Australia since you were growing up? Did you have any special attraction toward Australia or no?
yes, I mean, I guess the attraction, if I can summarize or describe the me in my map of the world, it was because it was completely the opposite,
Yes.
because it was completely the extreme, um, in terms of weather and in terms of distance.
Oh yeah.
And I was kind of like magnetized by this polarity, this kind of the other side of the globe, like what's there, you know what I mean? I just wanted to, and I've always kind of like pushing myself to my edges, you know, to go and
Mhm.
see what's there. I mean, what's the worst that can happen? If it doesn't work out, I'll come back home, you know what I mean? um the tropics, the exoticism, the kangaroo, the koala, the crocodile Dundee, I don't know, it's this kind of like let's go see what's there. Like, there must be something else than snow, than Canada. There must be something else. And I was talking about it. My way of manifesting is like I talk about something, you know, for ages. I'm gonna get married. I'm gonna get married. I'm gonna get married, or I'm gonna, you know, watch that. I talk to everybody about something that I desire. I
So
talk about it.
how long were you talking about Australia before you actually made the move?
Yeah, I talk about it for a long time because what happened then is I was listening to other people's fears rather than really tuning into my own heart's desire and trusting that. So I was listening to other people's, you know, like it's too far, like, you know,
You're crazy.
different
What are you
things.
gonna do there? Yeah.
Yeah, all that kind of jazz. And so I'd procrastinate until I had a bit of a drama episode in my life where I had an Australian boyfriend that I've met traveling in South America,
Wow.
and he passed
Oh, sorry to hear
and
that.
he died, and we were supposed to get married, and I was really young, and I was really in love with that gorgeous man, and we were supposed to come together. So my dream was coming true. Everything that I dreamed of, you know, the love and the going to Australia, everything was kind of becoming real. And then it's been taken away from me. And and that was very traumatic. So after that, I'm like, you know what? I'm not gonna let that be in the way. I'm going to go to Australia anyway. And then I applied for, you know, a working holiday visa and all the things, and everything worked out for me. Everything, as soon as I made the clear decision that I'd stop listening to the outside and I'd stop being influenced, and I'd go and check out for myself, everything fell into places. Every pieces of the puzzles, everything just landed and worked out.
So, what were your the very first impression of Australia? So when you land in Australia, was that winter in Canada? Was it summer? And when you arrived, when it was completely different? So tell us your very first impression upon landing in Australia the first time.
Um, yeah, I think I left in 98. I went to New Zealand. I actually
Wow.
didn't land on a plane. I actually came here on boats, which is
Whoa. An
unusual.
ultimate adventure. Wow.
I came
Did
hitchhiking on sailboats.
did you cross the Pacific on boat?
No, I actually I flew from Montreal to Fiji
Wow.
in Italy. And from Fiji, I did a bit of a circuit, a tour, not a tour, but I met some people on boats, and I worked as a crew and stuff like that. I went to New Caledonia and New Zealand and then
Wow.
Australia. So I did a bit of I had a big adventure then. And so,
Wait a second, time out. Sorry, that's fascinating. That could be an entire episode by itself. How was it, going from one island in the Pacific by boat with a crew that you just met? How was it living on a boat?
yeah, well, it was crazy. I mean, I wouldn't do
Wow.
that now.
Sure.
But it was I suppose again it was like this desire for me for freedom.
Mm,
And to me, being on a boat in on the ocean and the vastness of the ocean with the wind in my hair was kind of like I am invincible and I am free. It's a sensation. I mean, we're after a sensation, right? We're
mm.
after some kind of
Adrenaline rush. Yes.
a feeling. We're seeking
Yes.
through everything we do in life. We're always seeking a feeling, whether it's feeling safe, connected, feeling loved, feeling wealthy, feeling, joyful. But we're always after a feeling. And I was after the feeling of, like, like in the Titanic when they fly like that. I mean, a feeling like I could nearly become an eagle and fly off this, or
Yes, I can see
like,
that.
it's
Yeah.
just this feeling, the feeling of being completely in this spaciousness. The ocean is I love spaciousness, like spaciousness and freedom. And it's hard to it's just, I don't know if people can, I mean, not everybody could relate to that, but it was just, for me, if being a free spirit, it was like next level of freedom, of
Adventure.
proving to
Yeah.
myself that I could do this. I mean, in my ego, I wanted to prove to myself that I could do this.
Wow.
I
So
don't
wait a
know.
second. So when you left Montreal, was your plan to fly to Fiji and from Fiji take a plane to Australia, or you just went with the wind very spontaneously from Montreal to Fiji, and then you get an opportunity to get on a boat and get from Fiji to
No,
Australia by boat. So tell us, what was the process?
I had a plan. No, I
Oh
bought a
wow.
ticket. I bought a ticket to Fiji, and no, I bought a ticket all the way to Australia.
Mm,
And I stopped in Fiji. That I organized to stop in Fiji, and but I also bought a book online
mm.
on Amazon, how to become a crew, how to hitchhike on the Pacific, and
Wow.
this the right season for it. And because I told you I'm curious and explorer, and I love to learn, I really love to learn. So I put in application, I got a book, and I like a bit of there is a bit of nerdy in me. There was a bit of a nerdy in me. So I got the book, and I asked questions, I interview people about it. And so I kind of plan, I had my luggage and my ticket, and I thought, if it's not working, then I'll fly. But I will give it a crack. I will try to navigate. And I have done that in Panama, in South America
Oh,
before, a
okay.
little bit. So it was my second big trial to experiment. And so it worked out for me. It worked out for me. I mean, I had some challenges. I mean, there's a lot of stories there, but um I managed to spend time and do all the, I mean, many Fiji islands, and then New Caledonia, and I lived in a commune there, and then New
You
Zealand
go
for
to
9 months.
Tahiti?
No, I didn't go to Tahiti, no.
Oh, okay.
And then eventually to Australia,
So before we
nearly.
hold on, before we get to Australia, so how different was it sailing across the Caribbean and South America versus in the Pacific? Was it a big difference, or was it pretty much similar, or
It's a long time now. I mean,
mm,
every experience is different. Every boat was different, every energy, and depending on the weather, the weather when it was stormy was very scary, and when it was
mm,
quiet and calm and peaceful, with beautiful dolphins jumping up and down, and
wow,
full moon on the ocean rising like an orange fireball. And
the Milky
there's
Way?
been some, there's been some exquisite,
Sure.
like divine experiences, just witness nature uh, and there's been some, very rock and roll and stressful and scary experiences. I mean, it's just been really going through extremes there as well, which has been big on my path. Now I'm aiming for a bit more cruisy, balanced life, As a middle-aged woman, I'm more into like, I'm
Let's rock
not
and
taking
roll.
it.
Yeah. More
Yeah,
stability. Yeah. Wow.
yeah,
So how was it?
yeah.
How was it being on a boat while there was a storm around you? Did you freak out? Did everybody freak out? They know what happened? The captain was there to calm you guys down, or
Look, I had some traumatic experience. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of stories there. I had
mm,
a went through a storm where it was very traumatic, and the captain was absolutely not helping whatsoever.
wow.
But I had also very beautiful experiences. I mean, as I said, it's just yeah, it's a book in itself, you know. There's a book
Sure.
right there, a lot of analogy I use in my conference when I do, you know, public speaking, inspirational talks. I share some, you know, bits of stories because they're very potent, very powerful analogies to understand about life. It taught me a lot about myself. It taught me a lot about nature. It taught me a lot about life itself. It's been a very educational part of my existence. I mean, learning not in a smooth sailing way, but in being really engaged with life. You know, I really engage with life. Because I didn't want to be that little woman, you know, 9 to 5, 3 kids, a house and a pool. And it's just,
Yes.
I didn't resonate with that. I thought I would have a life that would be different. I thought that I would, but you know, you don't have to push yourself to such an extreme case. But that's the best decision I made at the time for myself. I didn't know any better, so I would make decisions. Sometimes there was a bit of an addiction on feeling unsafe, you know, an addiction of feeling unsafe because
Yeah.
my childhood, and you know, because of it was in my cells, this addiction of to stress, which a lot of people have, you know, they don't realize it, but the addiction to feeling unsafe and stress and drama, this kind of, you know, a bit of dramatic energy. But on the other hand, it got me to experience things that, you know, not very human, many humans would get to have such an exciting
Sure.
journey.
Was
Um,
that on a big boat or a smaller boat? What was the size of the boat?
there was several, yeah, I mean, yeah, I should have talked about it because there's so much, yeah, I guess it takes your
Yeah, I'm very
curiosity.
fascinated because that's something I also
Yeah.
want to do myself. That's why I'm so keen on that.
Yeah, I
Uh,
see. I guess, yeah, there's a lot of, yeah, payment. I mean, it's, yeah, we could do a podcast just on that one,
oh,
but
I
there's,
know.
yeah, there's a lot. I've been on several different size boats, you know. Yeah, different but they were always sailboats, but different
Actually, you know
quality.
what? That's an amazing suggestion. Let's do another podcast where we talk only about your experiences on the
We could,
sea, because,
we
like as
could.
I said, I'm an adventurer like you, and that's one of my item on my bucket list to cross either Atlantic or the Pacific on a boat.
Right.
So absolutely, well, let's do that. So let's move forward now to when you arrived in Australia. When you landed the first day, what was that beyond your expectation? Were you blown away? You said, okay, now I'm back where I belong.
I guess it's not so black and white, you know.
Mm,
It felt good. I remember that it felt quite good. Um, I remember that it was not that exotic like that, you know, completely. I mean,
mm,
I fell in love quite smoothly. Like I landed on my feet quite organically, and I got work quickly. I made friends quickly. I mean, I've always been very street smart and very resourceful person, very resourceful, very creative, and so I got my needs met, and I created a life quite organically for myself. I think very brave young lady. I was very brave,
mm.
um, and yeah, I was mesmerized by the beauty. Like I find it very beautiful. The trees, the flowers, the parrots, the palm trees, the beaches in the city, and you know, I find it very beautiful. But I kept my heart open and like a little curious child, and I just it was quite it was quite smooth for me to create a life for myself. Yeah, yeah,
Awesome. Now let's move forward. So you said
yeah.
you created the life for yourself in Australia. Tell us now about your business. What are you doing now? What are you up to? So tell us where at your life you are now as far as what you're doing.
We're jumping from one place to the other.
Ah, yeah. Because otherwise, if we were to go step by step, we could do like 4 or 5 episodes. There's so much to cover. Yeah.
Correct, correct. Um, Well, what I do now, what I do now in my life is I'm committed to be at service.
Mm.
So using basically, you, in a nutshell, you got a lot of the character, Anick. It hasn't been a boring life, and so through all these experiences, I acquired, a lot of wisdom. Because through failing and through some successes and failures, and peeling my onions and experiencing myself in different contexts and all that. So and as I was sharing prior, when you asked me about the jobs I've done, all these jobs, they all have like a connection. Like when I was a language teacher, and I discovered that I was, empowering my students and making them believe in themselves. So my work now as an intuitive mentor, as a coach, and an inspirational speaker, and a voice healer, I help hypersensitive conscious leaders to harmonize their nervous system so that they can be paid to live their passion, live their calling, to be on track, and magnetize their community with more ease, more joy, more flow. And so so there's a component of my work that's very healing. I've created a modality very inspired by EFT, emotional freedom techniques, that I think a lot of you would know, and some voice work mixed with that, that has been helping me immensely in moving through my own traumas. Because I've got, there's been quite a few ancestral traumas in my lineage, and so there's a component that's really around inner work, around healing, around transmuting, transcending the energy blocks, the mindset blocks, but they also on a cellular level to really untangle what's there. Sometimes, it's like it's if the body's not moving, it's because we're stuck in a if we're not taking the next action. If we're not moving forward with our finances, in our business, in our showing up, in our visibility, it's because there's something in the body that's stuck. Something that, there's a fear, there's a trauma, there's something there's an energy that's not moving. And so there's a component of healing, and there's a component of play and creation and fun and leadership and manifestation, really taking some potent actions, inspired actions, that are in alignment with who you are. So there's a component that's really fun, playful, that helps you to create in flow. And there's a component that is nervous system related, trauma related, inner work. So, but I'm not, these two, that I marry them really well together, and that's how I operate. I help
Awesome.
in that way. Yeah.
Sounds
Yeah.
amazing. Now, what would you say is your ideal client?
I beg your pardon?
Who's your ideal client?
Who's my ideal client?
Yes, for your
Who's
business.
my ideal client in my business? Well, it's definitely someone who is self-aware, who knows that that you are the creator. You know that you're not a victim of your circumstances, and you want yourself badly. You want the thing bad. You really want to express your heart. You're willing, you dare to be vulnerable. You're willing to be vulnerable and to be held. You're open to receive support. You open to be 100% honest with yourself and with your mentor, your coach, the person you're choosing to work with me, it's because we're choosing. I believe that we have a soul agreement, we have a soul contract, and I'm not more than you, I'm not better than you, but I am the perfect person for you to land in my arms and to feel nurtured and seen and understood, and you feel safe to be vulnerable, and you feel safe to to be held in that space. And there's a connection, there is a connection. So you are a super sensitive being, you are a super intuitive being, you are a leader, you are on your path, and you want more of yourself, and you want to be with unique Anick to journey in playfulness, in joy, because I'm super freaking fun to work with. My work is deep, my work is powerful, but the result that my clients get, I mean, they get it because the joy, the energy of joy that is there is so potent that helps them to, go on the other side of the blockages,
Tell us about your
and
program. Tell us
Mm.
about your program. Is it one-on-one? Is it small groups? Is it big groups? Tell us about the structure and how long does it take for someone to go through your program?
Okay, great question. Um, I work with on a one-on-one basis and on a group basis as well. My program is Accelerate Your Heart's Desire. It's we go together for a 6 months journey. And this year I'm opening up a 9 months container,
Oh, wow.
and it's called Sacred Boundaries for Empath Who Give Too Much. So I'm very excited about this new baby coming into the world. So that's for, the hypersensitive conscious leaders, the empath, because a lot of us, we really want to help, we really want to give, but we suck at setting some sacred, solid boundaries for our self-care. So, there'll be amazing component. They all start with C. There'll be a self-compassion, there'll be self-care, there'll be communication, there'll be collaboration, there'll be contribution. So they all see the C word, communication, contribution, compassion, care. And so that'll be a very potent program that's coming in 2022 for my hypersensitive conscious leaders to move to the next levels, versus that's a group setting. But otherwise, you can do Accelerate Your Heart's Desire with me. You can do also a program called Your Voice Truly Matters, which is also 3 months or 6 months one-on-one with me. And I'm about to do something to launch you in 2022 to activate possibilities. So a group workshop to activate possibilities. So I'll share the link on that. So it's a group activation for 2022 to step fully into who you want to be this year, how you want to feel here. So that's really exciting. Yeah.
Amazing. Love that. Now, one question I want to ask you about your business is, share with us an example of the most remarkable transformation you've seen from one of your clients so far.
Wow. Yeah, well, there's one of my clients, she put at the beginning of the year, 2 years ago, she put up she did a role play, a vision of the person she wanted to, the future self she wanted to become. And she hasn't had a relationship for, something like 12 years. She's very successful, a dentist, making a lot of money. So she wanted a house on the beach. She wanted a soulmate relationship, and she wanted to start to do her, she's very passionate about cooking. So she wanted to start to share about mindful eating and mindful cooking and all that, and run workshops. And she nailed her 3 goals
Wow.
within 8 months of working together,
Beautiful.
she manifested her whole desires. We did some massive voice healing with her, voice tapping, and there was a lot of traumas holding her back. She was very controlling, and she had the most epic result. She met another doctor. They got together. They're still very in love. They invited me for dinner to celebrate that. She bought her beautiful house, but I baked, and she did her cooking workshops with little groups of
Beautiful.
people. So I was like, woo, this is amazing.
You know, that's, as far as I'm concerned, that's the most beautiful thing in any business relationship you build. Is not as, for me, it's a transformation you see on the life of the people that you work with. The transformation, seeing them reach their goal, find their voice, go after the dreams. That is the most beautiful, the most fulfilling part in a business. And when you mentioned that story, I'm sure you must have felt very good seeing your client reaching all three of her goals, you know. So that must have been amazing. Wow, awesome.
Indeed.
Now, we're almost
Really
finished
happy
here.
for her. She's
Oh,
incredible.
absolutely. Absolutely. Now, let's move switch gears here. The theme of this podcast is building businesses with a cause. What would you say for you, Anick? What is a cause that is really dear to your heart?
There's a few causes that are really dear to my heart, but as I think I keep kind of turning around the same thing is really full freedom, full self-expression, free human beings, like, a bit of Adam and Eve, in a beautiful. Oh, now they're starting to make noise outside.
Right.
Yeah, just to live in a world where everyone holds hand, and we all feel safe and free to be ourselves, and we help each one another, rather than, there's no more competition, no more jealousy, no more competitiveness, no more patriarchal destructive mentality, where, everyone has their heart open, and we live in harmony, like, this kind of like heaven on earth kind of vision that I've got. That's probably the cause for me is, how can we educate humanity, to empower them, to educate them, and give them all that they all have, a shelter, feel safe, and food on the table, and feel supported and safe in the world, so they can actually blossom in happiness and joy, and be creative, and be themselves, sharing their own unique gift in harmony and joy. And so it is, and so it shall be.
Absolutely love that. Amen. Beautiful words.
I don't know if I talk about the cause of vision. I mean, I go
No,
back to
that
the
was
vision.
beautiful. That was
The vision
beautiful.
excites me more than the problem.
No, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. I love that. I'm the same too. Now, listen, I love talking to you. You have so much, you lived. I thought I've been living an adventurous life, but your life is completely different. Especially, I love the fact that the sailing part. I will definitely invite you for part two to talk only about the sailing part, and I mean it. But now let's wrap it up. So to finish off, I want to ask you a series of rapid fire questions. I want you to answer each question with one sentence. We're gonna
Yeah.
talk about advices. Are you ready?
Advices or vices?
Advices. No, no, not vices. That's gonna be for
Okay.
in-person talk. Advices. So
Yeah.
advices. Now, what would you say has been so far the best piece of advice you've received?
Oh my gosh, the best piece of advice that I've received.
Yes, in one
I remember
sentence.
I had a teacher in college who she said to
Mm,
me, "Anick, follow your passion, Anick, follow your truth, like follow your juju, follow what is true for you," or something in those lines. She said, don't
mm,
follow the status quo, or the just really follow what makes you feel happy and good, and follow that. I remember
awesome.
that. Mm.
Love that. Yes, I can relate to that. Now, what would you say has been so far the worst piece of advice you've received so far?
Well, the opposite, like, yeah, just be careful, don't trust people, don't trust people. I've heard that, you can't
Oh,
trust
really?
anybody. Like, yeah,
Wow.
I've heard that many times.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. Now, imagine that you were blessed with a time machine. You can go back in time and you're sitting face to face with the 18-year-old Anick. What's the number one advice you want to give to her, knowing all that you know now?
Love yourself, sweetheart. Be kind with you, be kind, be patient,
Mm-hmm.
and love all that you are. Just be present to you, and it's okay to feel. It's okay.
Love that.
You're
Amazing.
not alone, sweetheart. You're not alone.
Amazing.
I got
Beautiful
I got
words.
you back.
Beautiful words. Now, imagine, I know that you don't have your podcast, but imagine that you have your podcast, and today you're interviewing the most special person in the world, which is you're interviewing yourself. What's the first question you want to ask yourself? Don't think too much. What's the first question that comes to your mind?
If I was interviewing myself,
Yes, on your podcast. What's the first question that comes to mind that you want to ask yourself?
what made you who you are? What is the piece that made you who you are? The biggest piece
And in short, what would be your
of
answer?
your life that made you you? It's the richness of all the experiences I said yes to. It's the richness of having had the the courage to
Mm,
go and play in unknown
wow,
territories.
awesome. Now, my favorite question to ask, I save it for the last. What is the smallest thing you've done that has had the biggest positive impact for both your life and your business? Like for me, it's been starting my podcast. What about you?
Repeat that question again, please.
What's the smallest thing you've done that has had the biggest positive impact in both your life and business? And by small, I don't mean small. I mean the one thing you've done that has had the biggest impact in your life.
It's probably putting myself as I mean, before COVID, is I did a lot of public events, going and talking to people in public events, showing up. Like, I was very big in showing up. Any invitation I'd have to go and do a talk or make an an apparition, show up, whether it was for 2 minutes or half hour, I would go, I would say, I would put my hand up. Like, it's, yeah, that putting my hand up to be to share my voice every time yeah. So, now it's more with the video and the podcast and all that kind of stuff. But yeah.
Awesome. Cool. Now, last question I want to ask is for me. I know you're very kind, you're very nice, but this time I want you to be not kind. I want you to be straight up and give me tough love. Do you have any tips for me to improve my podcast?
Wow. um I have to feel into that because I'm so immersed in it right in this moment,
Mm-hmm.
as being the interviewee and sharing my story. Um, I suppose it's a little long. Yeah. If there was one thing, perhaps
Yes. Make it shorter.
perhaps
Yes.
nailing the time to respecting if it's an hour, like going, because we've been going to a lot and there's a lot of information. So
Oh,
perhaps, I
yes.
mean, they're very good questions, but even narrowing down to a few um question. I'm a good talker as well, but yeah, just
Yes. We both chatty. Yes. Yes.
but maybe that's, if there's one thing I would say, the respecting the time. Yeah,
Yes.
length
I
of time.
agree. I
Yeah,
agree.
that's the only thing I would yeah,
I
suggest.
totally agree. Now, if someone wants to connect with you, what's the best way to do so?
Uh, well, I could put a couple of links there. I mean, I've got a YouTube channel. I'm redoing a website, anickpatry.com, but then we're in the middle of doing a bilingual website. But I guess I'm on social media, Anick Patry, ANICK PATRY. It's written here. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. I've got a meetup group. I've got a I've got a module YouTube. I've got LinkedIn. I'm pretty much everywhere. So just if you Google my name, you'll find me.
Awesome,
Yeah.
wonderful.
Send
I'll
me an
put
email, send me a messenger. I'll be delighted to connect with you, no problem. And
awesome.
I've got a Calendly link I could put there, Calendly and Nick Patry.
Yes.
That's can
Send
book a
me all
time.
those links and I'll put them in the show notes.
Yep,
Absolutely.
100%.
All
Yeah.
right. Listen, Anick, we can talk for hours. We talked for over an hour and a half already. I love talking to you, and you're an amazing. I salute you. You're a true. You're a very interesting person, wonderful person, very fun to talk to. I can see you have a big, big, big heart, and I salute you. You're a true leader with a heart. Keep shining your light. Keep blessing the world with your presence and with your impact. I can't wait to talk to you again, especially for part two. And we'll also do a part three in a few months to see your progress and all that. So I salute you. Have a wonderful day for you ahead of you. Enjoy and see you next time, my friend. Take care. Please. Bye bye.
Thank you so much.
Au
Thank
revoir.
you.
Bye bye. Ciao, ciao.